Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have an update on XRP, and if you would like to share and subscribe and like this video, I'd be very much appreciative. And if you want to take it one step further, you can join the Patreon channel, £7.50 a month, 2 live streams a week, pretty much every week. So let's have a look at what's been going on here. So we managed to get into this position pretty well. I mean, I've been in XRP for a little while now, obviously. If you watch the channel, I've been in it, since, well, back when it was originally back in the 20s, but XRP has always been able to give us these signatures. It's done it at least 2 times on this channel where we've been able to get in just right before these big pumps, and we got in at this last week, just before the big pump. So obviously I'm not a big fan of using derivatives or anything, but for me it was one of those occasions where you had to. But I generally don't promote the use of that kind of thing unless you're absolutely certain something was going to happen, or pretty confident something was going to happen. So it's happened. The last update we said is that this boxy area is where we're likely to find our first level of decent rejection, but it's not, in my opinion, the top. I'm pretty sure that this has got further to go. However, coming up to this level now, I mean, there's not much between it. Yesterday's candle closed just below it, and today's candle took one, I suppose, a little dipping its toes into it, but it's basically the first area, so we've found ourselves a rejection there. Golden cross on the daily. There's also one just formed on the 12-hourly, which is a bit weird, to be honest with you, to see a 12-hourly form a golden cross just after the daily, which is it's pretty weird. But I suppose these things can happen when you have price so dramatically up and down in such small spaces of time. They are lagging indicators, but normally you would expect a succession from the 1 to the 4 to the 12 to the and so on and so on. So this isn't a signal in itself. Obviously, I say this all the time. People often will see a golden cross as a buying signal. It's just a sign of the strength of trend continuing. So essentially, look at each one of these levels now as supports, which should hold if we were to come down to test them, and when they obviously move up day by day, and each one of those, like I say, would likely catch up with the price action at some point. So I suppose the question is, where's it going to go from here? Is it possible for it to go further from here? Well, considering that this is the resistance here at the moment, I would expect a little pullback. However, XRP has a tendency to carry on pushing, more than it should, sooner than it should, and that, in my opinion, is one of the main reasons we have these pumps, these really fast pumps, and then long consolidations. This is generally how it goes: big up, long down, big up, long down, big up, long down, and that's on the small scale. If you go back in time and actually think about what it really does, I mean, it did an enormous pump up in 2017 to 18, and then basically spent the best part of 3 years consolidating from that. So this is the nature of it. This is its behavior. This is how it normally goes. And so I'm not particularly, as far as a TA's perspective is concerned, even though this is a resistance here, by maybe even tonight or tomorrow, it could have easily broken out and then just gone on to make new highs. Now, I try to look at these things mostly, I suppose, for the bigger moves on the weekly. Now, if we think about what we're seeing here when we go to the weekly, obviously that's one hell of a weekly candle, and we obviously have that area now. I think this is only a very small pit stop before it breaks out and then goes on to make a new high as far as these highs are concerned, but could quite easily go to make a new all-time high. Now the Binance chart doesn't do it justice. The all-time high is actually all the way up at about $3.50. So we've got this area we could probably map out as our it's around about this zone here. So that is the all-time high area. That's basically where it is, and that would be the holy grail. That's what everyone, I suppose, has been waiting for, when you see things like Ethereum just completely smashing through their all-time highs, and a lot of other coins with it. Now, there's one thing that is going to benefit XRP other than its own chart, and its own chart based on the weekly is really good. The money flow index is down, meaning that there's plenty of room for this to move aggressively and in a very, very big way. So I am actually quite keen on the idea that this will reach its all-time high and maybe even smash through it. Level by level, though, we'll have to think about breaking through here, then breaking above $2, which is more or less its previous peak. But with this kind of setup on the weekly, this does lend itself to a much larger move. And again, on a weekly, it is what it is. I mean, it can sometimes take weeks for these sort of things to play out, but considering the momentum has already picked up, the volatility has gone crazy. Maybe in a perfect world, I would expect maybe only a few days, maybe by midweek next week or at some point next week, we'll start to continue with this move, and the move is likely to get pretty bold and big and aggressive, and probably move up to the new the all-time high, and perhaps make a new one. And the reason I say that is because we can normally spot peaks on money flow indexes. Is usually a good way to determine a peak on a weekly when something is extremely overbought, a bubble ready to pop, and for the moment, the money flow is so far down here. It's not a buying signal in itself. It's just a way to navigate when something is going to get too overheated. The divergence here on the RSI is also somewhere which could obviously require a breakdown. From here, I mean, this is fine, to be honest with you. This is fine as it is, and if we just move up with the RSI on the weekly and get rejection from there, I still think that would be at our previous most recent top $2 or more, even if we just go up to get a rejection from here. But if we do get a break out of here, that's where the next big, large, huge aggressive move will be. Given the way that the histogram is ticking up and about to get our cross, which is going to be already above the 0 point as well, which is a very bullish place to receive a cross as well, I'm in favour for this to really continue to go on, so yeah, we are at resistance as of today. That's fine. It's been one big week for XRP, and I'm keeping my positions on. They're in at decent levels, and I'm without trying to spread kind of hopium or XRP moonboy dreams. These are the sort of moves that we should have become accustomed to with XRP. And not everybody is around to see, how these things move. A lot of people don't bother trading XRP because most of the time it's pretty boring, I have to say. But luckily, we managed to look at this on the live stream just in time, and we gave it a good look and recognised that it was doing something that it does every now and then before it goes on a big rally. And so we were kind of lucky that we spotted those signals before the rally started. This is one of the reasons, I suppose, we should always focus on 5 to 10. It depends on your brain capacity, really, how much you can take in. But try and reduce the amount of charts that you focus on all the time, and recognise the patterns and behaviours that those charts form, because they are all different. They all have their own personalities. They don't all respond in the same way to the signals that are generated by the indicators that we use. So yeah, without going on any further and rambling for no reason, I think this move is likely to continue, maybe even as early as today, but over the next week or 2 weeks, I think an all-time high is actually quite likely. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I think it is quite likely. There's so much room to move on this weekly, and it's the weeklies that really do count for most of the size of these moves. And if we can focus really on how short of a time it takes for these moves to take place, they generally go parabolic over a couple of weeks, whether this was here, or even back in 2017. That massive rally, that was over in 2 or 3 weeks. XRP moves really aggressively and really fast, and then consolidates for a really inordinate amount of time, and I think that's probably why it's mostly unpopular, and obviously because it never reached its all-time high so far in this bull run. I mean, I say it all the time, my channel's not very big, it's not very popular, but I did make a video about a year ago explaining the XRP market cycle, and which basically has already had a whole 4 years full market cycle, works separate to Bitcoin, but obviously has a 4-year cycle of its own, most obviously determined by Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, but it works almost completely the opposite way. It has a parabolic run, then it spends 3 years more or less consolidating from that huge parabolic high, and then it starts an uptrend, which could begin as early as I suppose a year before the end, but largely will pick up towards the end. So if this does reach its all-time high now, over the next week or two, and then gets a rejection from there, or even if it just peaks and makes another decent move, whether it's $2, $3, $4 or $5, if it does that, and then it's likely to consolidate, and then I would imagine that towards the end of the year, as determined by its previous market cycle, time-wise, it should peak once more in this bull market, and that will be the the end for XRP, and then it will spend an inordinate amount of time, maybe even 3 years, consolidating from that high, wherever that high might be. So if we can speculate that we will reach the $3.50 or $3.40 area in the next couple of weeks, let's just speculate on that is let's just say that is what's going to happen, and then we consolidate from there to the tune of 60 or 70% from around about here. That would bring us down to pretty much the breakout zone, or more or less these kind of top kind of zones, or this what is currently now resistance, and flip that to support, and then it's from there that we will build up another base of accumulation for the last pump, which will probably end up some point this year. That's just speculative based on its previous behaviour in the last 4 years of its market cycle. Obviously, since 2018, really, it's had a new market cycle, starting with more or less a 3-year bear market. So we'll see how it goes, see if it can fulfill its destiny and complete another 4-year market cycle of XRP. And if that is the case, this will be a big move. Then there will be a retrace, and then there will be one last move. The move which will melt faces and blow minds, and that will please all the XRP hodlers who have been very brave this entire market. And hats off to them. They are a very stubborn bunch, and you got to love them. You absolutely do have to love them, and I do believe that they will be rewarded in the end. And I'm not a lover or a hater. I am a trader. There is a place in my heart for XRP. It did an enormous amount of profit for me in 2017, so I've always been very fond of it. It's difficult to not be fond of something that did so well and made you so much profit in such a small amount of time. And since then, I suppose we've been capitalizing on that kind of move again, but the biggest moves are yet to come. We're probably going to have a big move over the next couple of weeks, and then I expect towards the end of the year we will have the biggest move from XRP. So I don't think that wherever it goes now will be its absolute peak of this market. I think it will consolidate from wherever it goes, and then spend a long time sort of going down from that move, boring the pants off everybody before finding its actual peak, which I'm not here to tell you what that will be. I've got no idea, but if we can assume that this is the next peak and this is quite optimistic, but if this is where it's going to be in the next couple of weeks, and then let's just say we'll double that again in the next big peak. We are talking about about $7 really, aren't we? That's kind of where it takes us towards the end of the year. So a $7 XRP towards the end of the year. Yeah, that might sound conservative to some, it might sound completely ridiculous to others, but it's based upon its previous cycle and also diminishing returns. So anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a nice day, and like and subscribe and join the Patreon if you fancy a bit more.